Hi, fourth grade, it's Miss Flores here, and we're going to do math lesson 104, which is talking about rounding to whole numbers. Now, we have our place value chart right here. That's also found in your book on page 690. So if you want to turn to that with me, you can. But I went ahead and drew it up here as well. All right, let's go through each place value so that we remember which one is. Let's start with this side. 100 trillions, 10 trillions, trillions, 100 billions, 10 billions, billions, 100 millions, 10 millions, millions, 100 thousands, 10 thousands, thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones, and our decimal point right here, okay? So we have our decimal point right here because we're talking about whole numbers, and we know that a whole number is going to be to the left of a decimal point. All right, so let's look at our first example and see what they want us to round it to. It says to round 12 million, where's my million? Right here. 12 million 876,000 250 to the nearest million. So the first thing that we do is find our millions number or place value, which is a 2. So we're gonna look at this 2 and think, are we gonna keep it as a 2 or are we gonna go up to 3? So the way that we do that is we look at the number to the right of it, which is an 8. And we know that an 8 is bigger than 5, so that means we are going to round up. So this now becomes a 3, and everything else becomes a 0. So we've just rounded it to the nearest million, which makes it 13 million. All right, let's look at example 2. Example 2 says to round 16 million 458,000 500. Okay, so that number is 16,458,500, and it says to round it to the nearest thousand. Okay, to the nearest. Oh, I'm sorry. It says to round to the nearest 100,000. So we need to find our 100,000s number, which is our 4. Okay, so that means we need to look at the 5. Is the 4 going to stay the same, or is it going to go up to 5? And since 5 is 5 or above, you round up, we're going to change our 4 to 5, and that means everything else becomes a 0. So now our new number is 16,500,000, and that's how we rounded it to the nearest 100,000. All right, let's look at example 3. Our number is 237 million 984,000 and that's it. So 237,984,000, and it says to round to the nearest 100 million. So that means we need to find our 100 millions place, which is this 3. Okay, so now we're going to look at the number next to it, which is a 3, and it's below 5, which means that our 2 is going to stay the same. So everything else will get changed to zeros, and we get 200 million for our answer. All right, fourth grade, go ahead and complete your lesson practice on Google Classroom. I want to check and see how you guys are doing it with rounding. Make sure you put your commas in there, and stay tuned for some homework problems. All right, we're going to go over some homework problems together. So let's look at number 1. All right, number 1 says 80 students were divided among 3 classrooms as equally as possible. Okay, so we have 80 students, and we need to divide them into 3 equal classrooms. Okay, so it says write 3 numbers to show how many students were in each of the 3 classrooms. So the first thing we do is we divide 80 by 3. 3 goes into 8 2 times, and we get 6. 8 minus 6 is 2, and we bring down
the 0. 3 goes into 20 how many times? 6 times, and we get 18. 20 minus 18, and we get 2. So 2 is our remainder. So that means that if we have one class, that's 26 students, and another class that's 26 students, and another class that's 26 students, but we have 2 students left over. That means that one student will have to go into each class so that it is equal. Okay, so now one class gets changed to 27, and the other class gets changed to 27. So our 3 numbers would be 26, 27, and 27. All right, number 2, it says when the sum of 3 and 4 is subtracted from the product of 3 and 4, what is the difference? Okay. All right, so it says the sum of 3 and 4. We have the sum of 3 and 4 is subtracted from, so that means that it is subtracted from the product of 3 and 4. Okay, what is the difference? So that means we have to multiply first. 4 times 3, 4, 8, 12. And then we add 4 plus 3, which is 4, 5, 6, 7. So now we get our new equation, 12 minus 7. And that is 5. Number 4, it says 4/9. Let's write that fraction first. 4/9 of 513 fans cheered when the touchdown was scored. How many fans cheered? So we need to find 4/9 of 513. So the first thing we do is we divide 513 by 9. Okay. 9 cannot go into 5, so we need to see how many times 9 goes into 51. And it goes in 5 times. 9 times 5 is 45. 51 minus 45 is 6. And we drop down the 3. Then we see how many times does 9 go into 63, and we get 7 times. 7 times 9 is 63, and we get 0. So step 2, we multiply 57 times 4. Okay, 7 times 4, 7, 14, 21, 28. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22. So we get 228 fans. Number 5, it says these circles show fractions equivalent to 1/2. Name the fraction shown. So these are the 2 fractions they have in your book. I'm just going to draw them out for you. Okay. And then the pieces that are shaded for the first circle are these top 3 pieces. And then the other circle is these top 4 pieces. Okay, so it's asking you to name the fractions. So we know there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. So our denominator is 6, and the number shaded is 3. We have 3/6. Our second circle has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so our denominator is 8, and shaded we have 4. So those fractions are equal to 1/2. All right, number 6, it says use the distributive property to multiply 34 and 65. So the way we do that is we have to split up 65 with distributive property. Okay, so we're going to take our 34 and we're going to multiply it by 60 plus 5. Okay, so that means we're going to rewrite it to be 34 times 60, because now we're going to distribute 34 to the 60 and 34 to the 5, okay? Plus 34 times 5, okay? So now we multiply 6 times 4, 6, 12, 18, 24. 6 times 3, 6, 12, 18, 19, 20. And we can't forget our 0. So this answer is 2040. And we need to add that. And now we multiply 5 times 4, 5, 10, 15, 20. 5 times 3, 5, 10, 15, 16, and 17. So then we add them together. 0 plus 0 is 0. 7 plus 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. Carry over the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. We get 2,210. If you need to rewrite it over here off to the side so that you line it up, go ahead and do that. All right, number 7. It says round each number to the given place value. Okay, so for A, it says round 13,458,912 to the nearest 10 million. So that means that we're looking at our 10 millionths place, which is our 1. Okay, so because we're going to see if our 1 stays at a 1 or if it goes up to 2. So we're going to look at our number 3. 3 is below 5. So that means that 1 is going to stay the same and everything else is going to get a 0. So then we get 10 million. B says round 13,458,912, so it's the same number, to the nearest million. Okay, so that means we're going to look at our 3. So we go to the number to the right and we see that 4 is below 5, so 3 is going to stay the same. So the 1 and 3 come down. We get 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. C, again, is the same number, and it says to round to the nearest 100,000, okay? So what number is in the 100,000? That's going to be our 4, okay? So that means we look at the 5, and we know that 5 and above, you round up. So the 1 and the 3 stay the same. 4 gets rounded up to 5, and everything else gets a 0. And lastly, D, it says to round to the nearest 10,000, okay? 10,000. So we're looking at the 5. So that means we need to look at the 8, and we see that 8 is above 5. So 5 is going to get rounded up to 6. So we bring down the 1 and the 3, 4, 6, and everything else gets a 0. All right, number 9 says change the improper fraction 5 over 2 to a mixed number. So the first thing we need to do is we need to divide. 5 divide by 2. 2 goes into 5 2 times. 2 times 2 is 4, and now we subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. So our 2 is our whole number. Our 1 becomes our numerator, and our 2 becomes our denominator. So we get 2 1/2. Right, and it says Kaya bought 3 scarves priced at $2.75 each. Okay. The tax was 58 cents. How much did she pay for the scarves? It says write a formula to solve the problem. Okay, so a formula that we can do is we can do our original cost plus tax. Okay, so whatever this number is plus tax, and then we get our total. Okay, so that's an equation. So now we can solve this right here and actually solve for our total. The first thing we would do is multiply $2.75 times 3. So 5, 10, 15. 7 times 3, 7, 14, 21. Plus 1 is 2. Oops, 22. 3 times 2, 3, 6. Plus 2 is 7 and 8. So we got $8.25. Then we take that amount and we add 58 cents to it, which is our tax, because this is our original, which is $8.25. Then we need to add our tax, which is 58 cents. So we add 5 plus 8. which is 13. And we add 5 plus 2, 7 plus 1 is 8. And 8 plus 0 is 8. We bring down our decimal. We get $8.83. All right, let's do number 13. Number 13 says Dawn is 49.5 inches tall. Tim is 47.5 inches tall. Dawn is how many more inches taller than Tim? So what we need to do is we need to subtract. So remember, when we subtract mixed numbers, okay, we only subtract the numerators from each other. So 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, 0 over 2, so that means we don't really have a fraction anymore. Okay, so now we just subtract 49 minus 47. We know that we get 2. So your answer is 2 inches. Moving on with adding and subtracting mixed numbers, let's do 22 together. Since I know you guys just learned this, we have 5 1/3 plus 3 1/3. Okay, so we need to add the numerator. So 1 plus 1 is 2/3. Carry over the denominator. And now we add our whole numbers. 5 plus 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we get 8 2/3. And we can do 23 together as well. Subtraction, 4 4/5 minus 3 3/5. Okay, 4 minus 3 is 1. So that 1 gets over 5 because the denominator gets carried over. And we do 4 minus 3, which is 1. All right, let's do number 24. 24 is 1,242 divide by 6. Okay, 6 cannot go into 1, so we need to see how many times 6 goes into 12. 6 goes into 12 2 times. 6 times 2 is 12, and we subtract. 2 minus 2 is 0. 1 minus 1 is 0. So we bring down the 4. 6 cannot go into 4, so we add a 0. 6 times 0 is 0. So we subtract, and we get 4, and we bring down the 2. 6 goes into 42. How many times? You got to count by 6. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42. So 7 times. 7 times 6 is 42. Then we subtract and we get 0. There's no more numbers up here, so we're done. Our answer is 207. All right, let's look at number 27. It says, refer to this bus schedule to answer parts A through C. Okay, so there is a bus schedule right there, and it has destination, arrival time, and the second arrival time, and the third arrival time. And then it has our destinations, which are cross streets right there. So A says Ella catches the 6:50 a.m. bus at 5th and Western. Okay, when can she expect to arrive at Hill and Lincoln? Okay, so 5th and Western, it leaves at 6:50 a.m. and it comes to Hill and Lincoln at 7:08 a.m. Okay, so you're really just looking at the chart and seeing that it leaves at 6:50. So then you go down each stop to find Hill and Lincoln, and it will arrive at 7:08. Okay. So B then says, if the bus runs on schedule, how many minutes is her ride? So now we need to calculate from 6:50 to 7:08. So how much time is in between here? Okay. So I know from 6:50 to 7 is 10 minutes. And then we have 8 minutes right here. If I add those two together, you get 18 minutes. C says if Ella misses the 6:50 bus, then when can she catch the next route 346 bus at that corner? So then we would go over to the next arrival time, and it says after 6:50, the next arrival time isn't until 7:32 a.m. All right, 29 says use the graph below to solve parts A through B. A, Kyle earns $5 per packing boxes per hour. How long will it take him to earn $50? Okay, so we need to divide 50 times 5 by 5. 5 goes into 5 one time, and we know that we have 10 because 5 times 10 is 50. So that means it would take him 10 hours to reach $50. Okay? So B, so that's A. So B says to write an equation to show the relationship between hours and dollars. Okay? So if we are going to do $5, and it doesn't matter how many hours he does, that's how we can see how many dollars he gets. Okay, so we're going to multiply 5 times H, which is our hours, and then we find out how many dollars. So our equation is 5 times H equals D. All right, and last but not least, number 30, says a variety of morning times and temperatures are shown in the table below. We see that 12 a.m. it was 51 degrees Fahrenheit, 2 a.m. it's 48 degrees Fahrenheit, and so on and so forth. It says to display the data in a line graph, then write one statement that describes the data. Okay? So the way we can do that, we'll make our little chart right here. I made it really big so that you all can see. It looks like our range, our lowest number is 48, so I'm just going to do 45.
55, 60, 65, okay? And then maybe 45, 50, 55, 60, 65. These are our temperature in Fahrenheit, okay? Temperature in Fahrenheit. And down here, we're going to do our time. So 12 a.m., 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m., 8 a.m., and 10 a.m., and this is our time.
So the first thing we're going to graph is our 12 a.m. Okay, we're going to go up to 51 degrees. It's about right there. 2 a.m. is at 48 degrees, so just underneath the 50. 4 a.m. is 49. 6 a.m. is 50. 8 a.m. is 56. And 10 a.m. is 62. Okay. Once you have your dots, then you can connect them with the ruler.
To show our line graph.
So it's basically showing us that the temperature decreased for a little bit, and then it eventually increased.
So temperature decreased, then increased.
It's basically just asking you what information can you pull from this data after looking at it in a line graph. All right, that's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, and let me know if you need help on anything else. All right, see you next time.